Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Fiction Network. Overwhelming enlightenment, embracing Pangu in the womb, shocking Empress. Upon waking up, Fang Qinsha gained an extraordinary insight, but found herself still in the womb and unborn. The chaos of heaven and earth is like a chicken, with Pangu in it. In this womb, it is like the chaotic yet unborn Hongmeng heaven and earth, and I am Pangu. His heart moved with the will, and his body also began to show the opening of Pangu. You deduce the opening of Pangu, observe the birth of celestial bodies, feel it in your heart, and comprehend the cultivation method of the creation of the elemental spiritual body. Beside him, Empress Su Chanyue, who had unexpectedly fallen and reincarnated, looked at Fang Qinsha dancing with disdain on her face. A mere mortal, who is as innate as I am. No. He's starting with his own evolution of Pangu. Su Chanyue was extremely shocked. Oh my goodness. In the womb, I realized the Tao of Pangu. What peerless demon is this? After being born, Fang Qinsha even showed his supernatural intelligence and shocked the heavens. You absorb a massive amount of spiritual energy from heaven and earth, understand the mysteries within, break energy conservation, and comprehend the Great Slaughter God technique. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Anti-Heavenly Understanding, Innate Cave Mysterious Fetal Breathing Method. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You successfully traveled to the Qingyun continent and were rejected by the will of the heavenly Tao. The will of the earth has resisted the force of rejection and bestowed upon you the ability to defy the heavens. A grand voice rang out from Fang Qinsha's heart. Brush. Fang Qinsha suddenly opened her eyes. Have I traveled? And it's still a fetus. He opened his small fetal eyes. I looked around for a moment. However, in this absolutely chaotic mother and fetus. No matter how wide his eyes widened, he couldn't see anything. But feel the warm liquid filling your body and the long umbilical cord on your belly. I quickly understood my current situation. I didn't expect that even though I was reborn so thoroughly. Starting directly from the fetus, starting from scratch. Fang Qinsha sighed and accepted the fact that she had become a fetus. What does the sound that rang out in my mind just now mean? I was almost rejected and erased by the will of the heavenly way in this world. Overwhelming comprehension. He was extremely excited in his heart. Natural talent and understanding cultivate one's own self, not false to external things. Compared to the system, these external objects are much more reliable. His extraordinary insight is enough to make him stand on the top of the divine path. However, he looked around helplessly. I am still in the womb, my body is not fully developed, and I don't even know how to swallow spiritual energy. Even if one's intelligence goes against the sky, there is no place for martial arts. He was bored and stretched out his little hand. I briefly explored around. Soon. It's right across from me. I touched a naked little brain. It seems that I am still a twin, not a prick. The feel is good. He casually took a few extra turns. However, soon. I feel tired of it. I don't know how long I'll stay in this completely dark and chaotic womb. He just feels a bit overwhelmed. I couldn't help but sigh again. A series of bubbles blew out from his mouth. Looking at the bubbles in front of her, Fang Qinsha suddenly felt a movement in her heart, and her mind became enlightened. The fetus is in a fetus filled with amniotic fluid but does not need to breathe. After birth, if the breath passes through the mouth and nose, it will be contaminated by turbid air. In ancient times, cultivators all wanted to return to their original state and return to the state of chaotic stillbirth. The so-called fetus is the source and origin. If the fetus is fixed, it will not waver, worry, or think, just like if the fetus is in the mother's womb. The saying goes, rest, rest, stop thinking, Qi stops, mind does not move, there is no coming or going, no coming or going, no coming or going, then naturally it will stay. If the heart stops and the fetus does not move, it is fetal rest. Boom. His thoughts were clear, and his mind suddenly shook. You observe the fetus spitting bubbles at the mouth, combined with Taoist thought, deduce the essence of fetal breathing, and comprehend the congenital and mysterious fetal breathing method. As soon as this method is completed, Fang Qinsha immediately feels it. I have 84,000 pores all over my body, as if they have all opened up. There is no need for him to urge. A strand of spiritual energy from heaven and earth was automatically absorbed by him. Is it so terrifying to have an incredible understanding? Creating a method in the womb, I'm afraid there won't be a second person found in this world anymore. He suppressed the ecstasy in his heart, silently realizing the feeling of spiritual energy filling the body. Although it is the first time this method has been created, its effectiveness is still astonishing. Because he is a fetal body, his physical body is extremely weak. So I only swallow a very small amount of spiritual energy each time. But soon, his brow furrowed. He found that the vast majority of the absorbed spiritual energy dissipated through his pores. Only a very rare strand of spiritual energy will blend into one's own flesh and blood bones. Very wasteful. Of course. What Fang Qinsha didn't know was that this was actually enough to go against the sky. If practitioners in the world were to know, their chin would probably be shocked. A fetus can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth on its own, nourish the body, and this is simply a divine fetus. Immortal fetus. Holy child. You should know that only by practicing until the first change in the heavenly realm. The state of eating food and dew, and the pores of the whole body opening up. Only then can we absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Only by achieving this transformation can one truly knock on the door of cultivation and leap to heaven. From now on, I will no longer indulge in worldly pleasures and no longer be an ordinary person. Countless warriors have been exhausted for their entire lives, unable to reach this level. And he achieved it with an unborn fetus. It's simply terrifying. This body nourished by spiritual energy, once born, will surely surpass its contemporaries in terms of physique. To prevent the loss of spiritual energy, it is necessary to cultivate the sixth transformation of the heavenly realm. Gathering spirit and returning to the body realm. Only by opening the acupoints and orifices throughout the body can spiritual energy be stored within it. Can function Sha, but not satisfied. How can spiritual energy stay in the fetus and no longer be lost? He held the small brain of the fetus opposite him with one hand. Hold your chin with one hand. My eyes were empty and distant, lost in thought. No system, enlightenment prompts are only for the convenience of readers to read. Chapter 2. Divine Fetuses. Empress Revival. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingyun Continent, Southern Region. De Yonggugua. The founding of this dynasty has lasted for thousands of years. With strong national strength and abundant people, it is one of the four ancient kingdoms in the southern region. The current ruler of the country, Fang Hengdao, is even more profound in cultivation, with his teachings reaching the heavens. Beijing. The backyard of the Crown Prince's mansion. At this time, it is already March in the sunny spring. The air in the courtyard is steaming, and the snow is melting away. Various precious tree species transplanted from the north and south of the Yangtze River are planted in an orderly manner throughout the courtyard. Pulling out green buds, full of greenery. The grass on the ground turns green in the shade. A green slate road stretches and meanders straight to a small pond in the center of the courtyard. The pond is clear and bottomless, with several golden koi carp leisurely and carefree in the pond. And on the edge of this pond. But I saw a stunning woman dressed in luxury, holding her lower abdomen with one hand. On the other hand, he sprinkled a lot of bait into the pool. attracted schools of fish to compete for food, causing the water to churn. "Madam, the weather is still cold. Shouldn't we go back to our room? If it cools down to your great-grandson, the emperor and the prince will feel sorry. The maidservants will die even more." Beside the luxurious woman, a young girl dressed as a maid whispered. Qin Qingqing patted off the residue in his hand and smiled slightly. "Although already in full armor, it is still an indescribable beauty. At least I am also a master of the spiritual realm, and I am invincible from cold and heat. Xiao Qing, you little girl, worry too much." Despite saying so, she still turned around and walked slowly towards the room. One hand always touches the bulging lower abdomen, as if holding the most precious treasure in the world. Suddenly. Qin Qingqing suddenly let out a cry. My face changed slightly. His gaze lowered, puzzled as he looked at his lower abdomen. Seeing her like this, the maid Xiaoqing felt a panic in her heart, thinking it was because her stomach was uncomfortable. The whole person immediately became nervous. "Madam, what's wrong with you? Did it get so cold in my stomach? Damn it, servant. I'll go call." Her face was full of panic. Qin Qingqing waved his hand, gesturing for her not to speak for now. Immediately, she once again focused all her attention on her lower abdomen. After a while, he murmured to himself in confusion. "Strange, is it my illusion? How do you feel? There's a hint of spiritual energy converging in my abdomen. Can you say that the child in my womb is inherently sacred?" Her heart skipped a beat. "You should know, not to mention the great eternal kingdom. Even in the entire southern region, for thousands of years, we have never heard of the birth of a divine fetus. Now, with such a strange movement in her belly, how could she not be excited in her heart?" However, this feeling quickly mixed with her own feeling of swallowing spiritual energy. "I can't feel it anymore." She shook her head, dispelling the unrealistic thoughts in her heart. How difficult it is to find a divine fetus, even if there is one, it may still come from the profound immortal families and ancient immortal dynasties in Zhongzhou. "My child, as long as he can grow up safely and happily, even ordinary people who cannot practice are okay." In the fetus. Fang Qinsha still kept her empty eyes open. But the soul and spirit are completely immersed in it. Sitting and forgetting its form. Even setting off firecrackers in front of him now would be difficult to wake him up. And across from him, there was the little fetus with his head coiled. At this moment, there was movement. "See you soon." A faint light shone from the center of the fetus's eyebrows. Immediately, a dot of light, resembling a firefly, slowly flew out of it. Suspended in front of the fetus. The light is very faint, casting a hazy reflection on this chaotic fetus. Seems like reality and illusion. However, although the light was faint, it also outlined the shape of the little fetus and Fang Qinsha. I saw that the little fetus is a female fetus. Up and down, crystal clear and smooth, as white as jade. Powder-carved jade carving, as if it is made from innate beauty jade carving. Under the reflection of that faint light, a hazy divine light was reflected all over the body. Extraordinary and extraordinary. The next moment. Brush. The female fetus's eyes suddenly opened. The pure and watery eyes first revealed a bewildered expression. Immediately, countless streams of light seemed to flicker through those eyes. Suddenly, the color of confusion dissipates. Instead, it is boundless, domineering and majestic. Like a true God who governs infinite creatures, taking life and death, speaking freely and walking on the sky. 7 years have passed. I have finally successfully reincarnated to the lower realm. Yi Xian, you beast, don't think that you have a destiny and just want to touch my master. Even if my gods and souls are destroyed and unbeatable forever, I won't take advantage of you, this toad. In Su Chanyue's eyes, boundless hatred and killing intent flashed away. She was originally the Empress of the Immortal realm, with infinite territory and exceptional cultivation talent. Almost invincible in the same environment. But I don't want to. 7 years ago, he was taken notice of by Yi Xian, who possessed the divine mandate and was known as the son of the divine mandate. This person is extremely mysterious. From an unknown abandoned son of a sect, he encountered numerous adventures and achieved continuous breakthroughs in his realm. In just over 100 years, it has risen rapidly. The combat power is almost on par with the Empress Su Chanyue, who has been practicing for thousands of years. Chapter 3. Can the little fetus dodge a blow from the master? You are listening at novelfull.audio. It can be considered a miracle in the realm of practice. Moreover, Yi Xian is a ruthless person, but anyone who has ever had a relationship with him. After their rise, they were completely slaughtered, leaving no trace of grass behind. The beautiful confidants around me are all exceptionally talented and extraordinary. Anyone can see that this person has an extraordinary destiny. If they don't die, they will surely lead the trend of an era. The waves make the tide. A proper protagonist template. Su Chanyue, as an empress of the first generation, has an outstanding fairy appearance and unparalleled charm. Naturally, it also became Yi Xian's pursuit goal. However, Su Chanyue has a cold and aloof nature, as cold as ice and frost, and is devoted to the Tao. Yi Xian sneered at the so-called fate of fate. In the end, a great war broke out with Yi Xian, who had once again gained a chance encounter and greatly improved his cultivation. Unfortunately, the divine power is invincible to fate, and the rising power of the Son of Destiny cannot be shaken by her. Finally, Su Chanyue's body passed away. A little true spirit wanders in endless chaotic time and space for 7 years. Just as he was almost wiped out, he finally luckily arrived at the lower realm and successfully reincarnated. This grudge is unforgettable. If we don't extract your divine soul and roast it for thousands of years, how can we dispel the hatred in our hearts? Su Chanyue harbored hatred in her heart. The little fist was tightly clenched. After a while, she just suppressed the hatred in her heart. The killing intent in his eyes also subsided. Once again, it becomes clear as water, no different from an ordinary little fetus. I looked up at the faint light floating in front of me. A rare smile appeared at the corner of the mouth. Fortunately, my teachings were not destroyed and came with my reincarnation. With this as a basis, it is just around the corner to restore one's cultivation to the previous life. The fruit of the Tao, the fruit of the Tao. He is a master of the heavenly realm, and only when he reaches an extremely advanced level of cultivation can he condense it. Condense the path of lifelong enlightenment for a practitioner. More capable of independently absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, selecting and refining it into the purest energy for the body to absorb. Even when lying down to sleep, one's cultivation is constantly improving. All sorts of wonderful uses are simply indescribable. With this object as the foundation, we can retrace our path of cultivation. It can be said to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Although Yi Xian, who knew he was in the immortal realm, was blessed by fate, he was afraid that entering the realm would be even more terrifying. But thinking too much is useless, it will only make oneself lose confidence even more. Life and death are determined by fate, success or failure depends on heaven. I will live a lifetime and earn a living. Even if we lose in the future, why not die again? As the Empress, her heart was as firm as iron, and she quickly stabilized her mind. The soul and spirit have also adapted to the body of their own fetus. At this point, she only realized that her brain was on fire. It feels like someone has been sanding it for a long time. And it seems like it hasn't stopped yet. Still tirelessly polishing. Bold. Who dares to move my reincarnation body? It hurts. Stop touching it now, you're going bald again. She felt a surge of anger in her heart and raised her eyes. With the faint light of Daogua, she saw a pure white arm resting on the top of her head. The person who extended this arm was quietly suspended in front of him for less than half a foot, looking at oneself with empty eyes. This scene is indeed a bit scary. Even though she was brave, she was also startled at this moment. Ah! What a ghost! She opened her mouth and almost choked on a mouthful of amniotic fluid. As his neck shrank, he clenched his small hand into a fist and struck it with one punch. Go straight to the face door of square dust and sand. Although she is a fetus now, her past life experiences are still present. A simple punch, but like a gazelle hanging its horn, nowhere to be found. Even a flexible adult may not be able to avoid her punch. Although not very strong, if hit on the face, it will definitely result in nosebleeds and blossoming all over the face. However, as soon as she punched, she reacted. I am in the womb, and what can appear in front of me can only be my own siblings. With a clear understanding in her heart, she couldn't retract her hand and muttered to herself, "It's terrible. Oh no. My punch is not light or heavy, don't break this little thing." Just as she was worried, she saw the hollow eyes of the little fetus across from her as if moving. Immediately afterwards, his head tilted slightly. My little fist rubbed against his cheek, smashing it into the air. She was startled in her heart. Dodging. Can a fetus dodge a blow from its true self? Does he have consciousness? Impossible. She is both fortunate and surprised. My little hand reached out to Fong Chencha's eyes. 5 fingers spread out and swayed for a moment. But I found that the other person's eyes were still straight and unresponsive. I just relaxed. It seems that it may be my own fist that drove the flow of amniotic fluid in the fetus, allowing him to dodge this moment. Fortunately. The anger in my heart has also dissipated. Although the scalp still feels a slight pain, after watching for a while, I also found it much more pleasing to the eye. It is your luck to be born in the same womb as this deity. Although you are just a little ordinary child. But in the future, there will be this one covering you. In this world, besides me, no one can bully you. Chapter 4. Enlightenment of Pangu and the Beginning of Heaven. Witnessed the Innate Constitution. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She waved her small hand and gently patted Fong's dusty little brain bag melon. His expression was quite contented. It's like recognizing the head of the underworld elder sister. Just as she was thinking about how to show her authority in front of this little guy in the future. Suddenly, the Daogua suspended in front of her suddenly shook. Immediately, it turned into a stream of light and penetrated into Su Chanyue's eyebrows. At the same time, the strands of heaven and earth spiritual energy are automatically extracted by Daogua, continuously infused into her body. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extremely pure and violent. Non-heavenly realm masters cannot absorb. It's not something a fetus can bear at all. Moreover, even novice experts should be cautious. Dare to absorb and refine only a little bit. Afraid of bursting oneself. Su Chanyue did not panic at all, but her face was filled with ecstasy. Great creation. Great creation. I didn't expect that in my lifetime, I would awaken my innate special constitution. Innate constitution, each one is terrifying and earth-shattering. That Yi Xian also relied on his strange and powerful pupils to defeat me just now. From now on, I am not weaker than you either. Feeling the various changes before her special constitution was about to awaken, her soul gradually fell silent. When I wake up again, it will be the beginning of stepping on the invincible path. Her last thought flashed by. Immediately, his eyes drooped and he gradually entered the deepest level of concentration. Over time, her body also began to envelop in a thin layer of precious light. The small fetal body appears sacred and ethereal. Meanwhile, waves of almost imperceptible sounds. Like the recitation of scriptures by heaven and earth, like the singing of immortals, Buddhas, and Brahms, with inexplicable Tao rhymes, it spreads in the womb. Silent echoes. The chaos of heaven and earth is like a chicken, with Pangu in it. Pangu is the chaotic fetus. He is also a fetus, but he has that extraordinary power. The reason behind this is that his innate body is sacred and can accommodate endless spiritual energy. Open the sky. Open the sky. A magnificent picture appeared in his mind. A towering and unparalleled man with a blurred figure. Standing between the chaotic and undecided world. Holding a giant axe in both hands, he slashed down fiercely. Brush. He seems to have a clear understanding of something. Fong Chencha's empty and lifeless eyes suddenly seemed to be infused with vitality. It became more agile. Similarly, I also saw everything inside the fetus clearly. What is this? The little fetus before. She's actually shining. So rich in spiritual energy. I didn't expect her to be so extraordinary. This spiritual energy flows towards the rippling Tao rhyme, which is the process of condensing innate extraordinary physique. I see. I see. Fong Qinsha stared at Su Chanyue's body with bright eyes, her mind like a mirror. Reflecting everything. Witnessing the birth of a special physique owner is an opportunity that no one has experienced before. Moreover, even if seen by others, this transformation of the creation that takes away heaven and earth. I'm afraid even if the sage comes, it won't be possible to completely reconcile. Otherwise, the sage family may be able to mass-produce strong individuals with special constitutions. His eyes once again became hollow and distant. Hands, but they clenched weakly. Like holding a giant axe that opens up the sky. Slowly but firmly, it swung forward. In his mind, the man in the painting, with his body veins, muscles and bones, and blood rushing, also began to become clear. And the majestic man's eyes were empty and lifeless, with a distant breath. Suddenly, their figures seemed to overlap. This calligraphy treasure level includes mortal objects, spiritual artifacts, Taoist artifacts, precious artifacts, true treasures of the 5 elements, temporal and spatial magical artifacts, great immortal artifacts, ancient relics, innate spiritual treasures, and chaotic treasures. Level of martial arts and divine skills. Mortal level martial arts, spiritual level martial arts, Taoist level martial arts, Wangpin martial arts, 5 elements Tao techniques, time and space divine skills, Dalao immortal technique, ancient secret techniques, innate true techniques, 3000 great paths technique, and other short transcendence technique. Cultivation realm. Mortal realm, heavenly realm. The 4 levels of the mortal realm. Warrior, warrior, master, and master. 49 changes in heavenly realm. This book has a complete cultivation system, and each level of realm change has a detailed introduction and explanation. You can refer to the related works, realm chapter, for more information. The first change. Meal mist food dew second transformation. Xionghu divine power the third change. Being invincible fourth transformation. Swallowing gold and eating iron the fifth change. Washing tendons and making marrow easier sixth transformation. Gathering spirits and returning to the orifices seventh transformation. Practicing Qi Gang eighth change. Flying support track ninth transformation. Qi, blood, wolf smoke 10th change. Vajra does not break 11th transformation. Purple mansion true fire 12th change. In the moment of flower blooming 13th change. Supporting object shaping the 14th transformation. Breathing the silence and driving away the gods 15 changes. Nian Shenghao Mang 16th transformation. Chasing souls and capturing spirits 17th transformation. Wandering God to control Qi the 18th change. Divine eyes like electricity the 19th change. Revival from the dead 20th change. Embryo transformation and easy form 21st transformation. Yin-Yang unity the 22nd change. Yang-Shen manifests the world the 23rd change. Calling for wind and calling for rain the 24th change. The transformation of 5 thunders 25th change. Gathering and dispersing invisibly the 26th transformation. The law of heaven and earth the 27th change. Everlasting changes chapter 28. The great way holy child the 29th change. See the God but be not bad the 30th change. Seeing through a barrier cave the 31st change. Immortal and endless the 32nd change. Unification of 10,000 paths the 33rd change. Changing destiny against heaven the 34th transformation. Boundless heaven and earth 35th change. Crushing vacuum the 36th transformation. Wind and fire catastrophe 37th transformation. Understanding chaos 38th transformation. Evolutionary cave 39th transformation. Void creation 40th change. Dongtian festival the 41st change. All things return to void the 42nd change. Eliminating fake and preserving true the 43rd change. Mindfulness to connect heaven and earth the 44th transformation. Heavenly principle and chi quantity the 45th transformation. Pointing to the flood and wilderness 46th transformation. Inverting yin and yang the 47th change. He transforms into freedom the 48th incident. Mediation and creation 49th change. Boarding on the other shore. Chapter 5. Creating heaven and earth. Creation Yuan spirit body cultivation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. There is no sun or moon in the fetus. In the blink of an eye, 3 months have passed. It's already early summer in June. Although the sun is shining brightly, the air is cool and refreshing, gently brushing against the willows. Inside the Crown Prince's mansion, in a picturesque side hall. Qin Qingqing's face was cheerful, half lying on a soft blue collapse. A green onion-like hand with 10 fingers crossed on the lower abdomen. At this time, she is pregnant in August and the size of her lower abdomen is already quite considerable. Although wearing a very loose light gold silk skirt, it was still held high. Chongtian, look at these 2 kids' stomachs bulging like watermelons for me. Dr. Lin from the palace came to check my pulse today and said that the child in my abdomen has an amazing pulse and is full of qi and blood. It's like beating a drum. In all these years of practicing medicine, he has never seen such a strong pulse. She has a lazy voice and lifts one palm lightly. Immediately, she was held by the man standing behind her. I saw this person wearing a golden crown, with a resolute face and a body like a sword, standing tall. Although there is no spiritual energy fluctuation around the body, there is an illusion that even if 1,000 soldiers and horses are killed, they can be annihilated with one sword. He was covered in a 4-clawed python robe, but it indicated his identity. It is the great eternal kingdom, the current crown prince. Grand Prince Fong Chongtian. Our revered offspring are not just ordinary people. Qingqing, you're pregnant with 2 babies, but it's really hard for you. A proud expression flashed on his face. Between his eyebrows, there was a hint of imperceptible sadness. Qin Qingqing's soul is so transparent, where doesn't he know that the person next to him has something on his mind? She held Fong Chongtian's palm with her back hand. Stand up straight. Raise your head and face his 4 eyes. Since you came back early the day before yesterday, I feel like you have something on your mind. What the hell is going on? You don't have to hide it from me. Fong Chongtian let out a slight sigh. Sure enough, I still can't hide it from you. The day before yesterday, during the morning court, old Four carried his 10-day-old baby to the palace. Qin Qingqing's heart tightened. Is it? Fong Chongtian nodded. You're right, that child, when he was born, a blood-colored spear descended from the sky and injected into his right arm. It is precisely the very rare special physique recorded in ancient books, the blood spear battle body. It is also the only special physique in our ancient country for nearly 1,000 years. Man Chao was shocked. Father relies on his son for wealth. Father, the emperor, has delegated many tasks to the fourth son these days. And he also bestowed a top-notch protective tool on my nephew. If we wait for 2 months, when the candlelight development ceremony is held and the intensity of the divine soul is reflected, I'm afraid Father Emperor will tilt more resources towards it. Even my position as Crown Prince may not be guaranteed. I don't care about the position of Crown Prince, it's just that the fourth son is ruthless and ruthless. Regardless of the dynasty or generation, the struggles between princes have always been bloody and cruel. Those who fail to rise to power will inevitably face bloody punishment and be eradicated. Especially his political views differ from those of the fourth prince and the fourth lord party. It can be said that it has reached a point where water and fire are incompatible. Fang Chongtian is about to become a father, and the safety of his wife and children is more important than his life. Looking at Qin Qingcheng's bulging lower abdomen, his gaze became resolute. My child is not weaker than others. Even ordinary people, I will ensure their lifelong peace. In the fetus. Fang Qinsha still held her hands weakly, making a celestial gesture. However, his swinging speed is much slower than before. It seems that every wave of the arm requires a massive amount of effort. It seems like an invisible force is hindering him. And his body also underwent astonishing changes. 84,000 snake-headed runes, twisted and winding, appeared deep within his skin. Vague and elusive. Every rune seems to be shouting a word loudly. Dao. 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 Countless paths, like a torrent, wash into the deepest part of Fang Qinsha's soul. His body suddenly shook. Between his hands, it seemed as if a simple and ancient giant axe had truly appeared. Breaking through numerous obstacles and heading towards the endless chaotic void, he slashed down. And the changes in Empress Su Chanyue are equally astonishing. The divine light and spiritual energy that originally lingered around the body have all been restrained. The crystal-clear flesh, like a beautiful jade, now returns to simplicity. Becoming similar to an ordinary fetus. The skin is white with a hint of red, very cute. But miraculously, there were 9 faint air currents, like fairy belts, slowly surrounding her. In a faint moment, it seemed that the faint sound of dragons singing could be heard, transmitted from it. Suddenly, she opened her eyes. My divine body of creation has become. From now on, let me roam between heaven and earth. Counting the days, it's time for the birth of our true self. On Su Chanyue's face, a proud expression rose. His gaze casually glanced at Fang Qinsha across from him. Ha! This little guy is really dishonest. They're almost born, still dancing around here. I'm sure I'll also be a restless and mischievous ghost in the future. No. This action. Her originally funny little face became serious. Right in front of her. A small fetus that was originally ordinary and small like a puppy. At this point. But it seemed as if it had turned into a towering giant. The hand that seemed to be waving wildly. At this moment, it seemed as if holding a giant axe, breaking through the eternal darkness. Let all living beings see the sky. Pioneering. Su Chanyue's whole body trembled. My heart is almost roaring. He is using himself to evolve Pangu and create heaven. Oh my goodness. In the womb, I understand the Tao of Pangu. What a peerless demon is this? She widened her eyes and wanted to take another look. But I only felt an irresistible attraction coming from my head. Immediately after, I felt my body fall and disappear into the fetus. And at this moment, Fong Chencha's empty eyes blinked, full of energy. You deduce the opening of Pangu, observe the birth of celestial bodies, listen to the cry of the Tao, feel it in your heart, and comprehend the cultivation method of the creation elemental spiritual body. On the first day of the new book, I kneel down and beg the big shots to give me some flower reviews. For every 1,000 flowers, I get 100 review votes, 10 monthly tickets, and 1 reward, with a daily limit of 15 updates. Everyone smash me with data, I'll update to death, code all night. Chapter 6. Gathering the star map of human head and snake body. Light up 8. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Boom. FH1. Body composition. In an instant, Fong Chencha felt a sudden vibration in her physical body. The body contains 84,000 runes with human heads and snake bodies, no longer chaotic and disorderly. Unexpectedly gathered together, formed a human head and snake body image magnified countless times in proportion. The huge human head and snake body rune, like a huge dim star map, imprinted in the void of his body. As the human head and snake body star map form, the Xiantian cave mysterious fetal breathing method is vigorously operating. Start extracting the spiritual energy of heaven and earth at a speed several times faster than before. After removing impurities, purifying and transforming it into the purest spiritual energy, it is infused throughout his body. This abundance of pure spiritual energy is infused in one go. For a fetus, even with congenital constitution, there are still too many. Even with Su Chanyue's divine body, which is no weaker than Chong Tong's, I dare not do so now. Otherwise, if not well controlled, it is very likely to be directly torn apart by spiritual energy. Going beyond the limit is as bad as falling short. May the dust and sand be fearless. With the rolling spiritual energy entering the body, his fetal body began to undergo drastic changes. All the meridians, bones, skin and fascia in the body emit buzzing sounds under the pure spiritual energy. It's almost a few blinks of effort. Every inch of flesh and blood is washed clean with spiritual energy. Pure and free of dirt, like pure glass. The Book of Changes washes the marrow. The remaining large amount of spiritual energy began to circulate and surge within Fong Dushan's body. Seems about to lose control. But he showed no signs of panic, his eyes slightly closed, and he whispered in secret. Collect. The next moment, in the void within the body, at the tail of the human head, snake body, and star chart, a tiny human-headed snake body rune trembled slightly. In an instant, the spiritual energy that has nowhere to be placed, like 100 rivers returning to the sea, is absorbed by it. The originally dim runes are infused with spiritual energy. It has become slightly brighter. The beginning of everything is difficult. It seems that it's not so easy to light up the first rune and cultivate the first level of the creation elemental spirit body. Fong Chencha knew it clearly in her heart. The spirit body of Genesis has 6 layers. Each time a weight is reached, a corresponding number of runes must be lit up. At the same time, one will also gain a terrifying divine power. Both the physical body and the divine soul will also receive significant increases. And I want to cultivate it to a state of 6 levels of perfection and flawlessness. It is necessary to light up all the void within the body, including 84,000 runes. The resources needed are simply unimaginable. Of course, if one can cultivate to this extent, they may be able to suppress the heavens and shake the world with their backhand. At present, I have only preliminarily condensed the spirit body of the creation element. With the improvement of cultivation level, the ability of the physical body to accommodate and absorb spiritual energy becomes stronger. The speed of practicing this method will also increase. Although it's just a beginner's stage, at least the spiritual energy won't be wasted anymore. Feeling the spiritual energy absorbed by the congenital cave mysterious fetal breathing method, it is gradually absorbed into the runes of the human head and snake body. He had a miserly expression on his face. Only in but not out, that's right. Ha! What about that little guy? Where did you hide it? Why haven't we seen each other? He came back to his senses from enlightenment. Only then did I realize that the little fetus that had been with me for several months was missing. I widened my eyes and glanced around. The tire is empty, and there is no hiding place. Nature is fruitless. He was startled in his heart. It's broken. Isn't it that I unconsciously started practicing and chopped her out? Fong Qinsha had a mischievous expression on her face. Just as he was having wild thoughts. Suddenly, an invisible force pulled him down. What is this? We're about to be born. Fong Qinsha suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. A smile hung on his face. So it's about to be born. I'm scared to death. Finally, it's time to see the light again. Damn it. She was born first. After that, shouldn't I call her sister? I've become a little brother now. Brother's dream shattered, and he pounded his chest with his feet. Feeling extremely regretful, he slapped his thigh directly. Then, I felt a darkness before my eyes. The Crown Prince's mansion. Not far from the delivery room door. Fong Chongtian's face remained unchanged, with his hands behind his back. My gaze scanned the entrance of the delivery room over and over again. Beside him, there was a young man with eyebrows that were somewhat similar to him. Sitting on a nearby stone bench. Holding a cup of fragrant tea in his hand. Blowing leisurely and leisurely. Looking at Fong Chongtian, who was almost tense all over, the young man couldn't help but laugh. Big brother, don't be so nervous. My sister Law is also a master of the heavenly realm. She washes the marrow and changes the scriptures, and her body far surpasses that of ordinary people. It's okay to have a child. When my wife first gave birth, I was also very nervous. But when I gave birth to Sienna last year, it was easy to just soak it up. Before he could finish speaking, he was glared back by Fong Chongtian. Lao Lu, these are both fathers of the two children, and there's no one who can speak yet. You have such a reckless nature, no wonder father always asks you to go to the bitter cold border and resist the barbarians. We need to make some changes. Although Fong Chongtian's tone was harsh, there was still a hint of concern in his words. This young man is the biological brother of his mother's compatriots, the sixth Prince Fong Litian. He is also the only force among many princes who support himself. Don't be fooled by his always playful and cynical expression, he's really going crazy. That is a person who has killed through 100,000 armies of barbarians, stepping on the mountains and seas of corpses without even blinking an eye. After learning the news that his eldest brother's heir is about to be born, he didn't sleep for 3 days and nights, and rushed back from the border. Arrive at the prince's mansion to escort. One is to see my own nieces and nephews with my own eyes. Another is also to deter the influence of the fourth and eighth party in the court. Got it, got it. Fong Litian waved his hand, but his face showed a playful smile. Keep it down, your sister Law should be giving birth soon. Fong Chongtian looked at him helplessly, then his gaze fell on the door of the delivery room. Not talking. Prince Fong Litian also put away his playful expression. Eyes are like lightning, scanning the void. The killing intent condensed around him like substance. Once there is any wind or grass stirring up, anyone will face his fatal blow. Chapter 7. Painless production, blessed by the god of medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the delivery room. Several young maids are busy and nervous organizing the items used in production. At the small door on one side, there were constantly maids carrying freshly boiled hot water, bringing it in. washing hot towels and disinfecting scissors and other items. Qin Qingqing's face was pale and he lay in great pain on the delivery bed. Sweat beads rolled down her head, almost soaking her whole body. The mattress underneath was as if it had been soaked in water. Her hand tightly grasped the wooden edge of the bed. The iron flower pear wood, which was as hard as gold and iron, was unexpectedly scratched by her with a deep dent. The maid Xiaoqing squatting beside her, her face full of heartache. Holding a towel, constantly wiping the sweat beads on Qin Qingqing's cheeks. "Madam, hold on to the pain and it will be over soon. Grandma Li, it's widely rumored in the capital that you have excellent delivery skills. Mothers can give birth without much pain. Saying it's painless production, delivering for 30 years without any mistakes. Compared to the divine doctors in the palace, you are more powerful. That's why you came to deliver the Empress. It has been an hour since they said they were going to have a baby. Why hasn't the Empress given birth yet? If the Empress's jade body is damaged and her imperial grandson's dragon body is injured, She became more and more angry as she spoke, and there was already a murderous aura between her eyebrows and eyes. Being a close attendant to the crown princess naturally requires some cultivation. The momentum is also somewhat frightening. Xiaoqing, don't be impolite. Qin Qingqing gave a light scold. Then he lifted his body slightly and looked at Mrs. Li. If you're impolite, don't blame me. I have a child in my belly, and there's also Mrs. Lao Li. As she spoke, she weakly lay down again. Don't worry, Empress. With my family and life as collateral, I can ensure the safety of my mother and son. Mrs. Li's body trembled, her mouth responded, but her heart kept complaining. My own abilities rely entirely on my family's secret medicine, Ma Fei San, and exquisite labor induction techniques. That Ma Fei San is an ancient prescription, as long as you smell it in front of the nose of a pregnant woman waiting to give birth. Immediately, the whole body will become sore, weak, and numb, as if falling into a cloud. Cutting with knives and axes, there is no pain at all. Combined with oxytocin, even the most dangerous fetal situation can be easily handled. Within a moment or 3 after the fetus lands, the pregnant woman will automatically wake up. Mother and son are safe and happy. But today, I don't know what's going on. My 100 trials of the 100 spirits of Ma boiling powder surprisingly had no effect on Qin Qingqing. Under the induction of labor, the fetus in her abdomen showed no signs of falling. Sweat is coming out from her forehead. May the Medicine King bless you. What kind of fetus is this crown princess carrying in her womb? Surprisingly leaving the old lady at a loss for me. She gritted her teeth. Just prepare to perform another oxytocin technique. If it still doesn't work, we can only use the technique of breaking the abdomen to retrieve the child. However, in that way, the jade body of this empress was injured, and my own old life can be accounted for today. But at this moment, suddenly, her hands felt a warm sensation. The next moment, a chubby white doll slipped into her hands. Looking at my hand, it was dazzling white and my skin seemed like a baby that could be blown apart by a bullet. Mrs. Li's hands trembled violently, almost crying. The feeling of wandering around the gates of hell is too exciting for this old lady. Thank goodness, she whispered to herself. Subsequently, a smile immediately appeared on the face that was originally a bit mournful. Squeezed all over her face with wrinkles. At the same time, cleared my throat. Singed in a tone that had been shouting for a lifetime. Congratulations to the crown prince, congratulations to the empress. Happy to have a phoenix seed. Princess Chang is light and healthy, flawless and flawless. She has great fortune in this life. In the delivery room, a deep cheer suddenly rang out. The maids wore excited smiles on their faces. Xiaoqing tightly held Qin Qingqing's hand. Cried happily. Although Qin Qingqing's face was exhausted, his gaze still fell on the small baby. Zen Moon. She murmured softly. Looking at her cute appearance, a happy smile rose on her face. The pain and fatigue on my body seemed to have eased a lot. Seeing the birth of one's own flesh and blood is the most painful but also the happiest moment for every mother. Thinking of having a child in my belly, waiting to be born. Immediately start accumulating energy again. Mrs. Lee no longer panicked and regained her confidence. Reaching out his hand, he took the warm towel from the maid beside him. Just prepare to wipe Fong Chanyue's body. After wiping it clean, place it on the crib and you can safely deliver the next baby. Based on her experience of delivering twins, as long as the first child comes out, the rest is easy to say. Without the effort of a cup of tea, one can be born. The little princess truly deserves to be a phoenix seed. She is so clean all over her body, and her skin is white with a hint of redness, making her hydrated and agile. Don't cry or make a fuss. It's not like a fetus between us mortals, with blue and purple skin and a body covered in filth. Mrs. Lee wiped and exclaimed in admiration. Although there may be elements of flattery in flattery, it is also true. As she spoke, she suddenly felt a surge of excitement. Don't cry or make noise. It's broken. Old lady, my brain. Why did you forget to pat your butt? She almost slapped herself in the mouth. In this world, whenever a baby is born and takes the first breath of air, they will involuntarily cry. This is what is called the birthplace. If you don't cry, it's mostly because the membranes are blocking your mouth and nose. Just grab your little foot, hang it upside down, and give it a pat on your butt. So it becomes unobstructed. She cursed herself with a useless old lady. Subsequently, quickly turning Fong Chanyue's small body upside down. Raise a chicken paw-like palm. Aiming at Fong Chanyue's little fart. We need to continue fighting. Bold. Just a mortal, you dare to attack me. Be executed. At this moment, Fong Chanyue is still recalling the scene of the dust and sand rising from the side of the fetus. But he found himself lifted upside down, and the mortal in front of him still wanted to hit him. This is not bad. Angry in the heart. Facing Grandma Li, her eyes were just staring. The Emperor's anger engulfed him, leaving him lying for thousands of miles. Even if she is just a newborn baby now, her power is not something that ordinary people like Mrs. Li can resist. Mrs. Li was startled by this sharp gaze, and her whole body trembled with fear. The hand gripping the calf couldn't help but loosen. 1,000 flowers, add one more today. Chapter 8. Heavenly Sages. Immortal music spreads for 8,000 miles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Losing support. Fong Chanyue's small body was like a falling object from a high altitude, with a whoosh that was about to fall. Ah! Such a change occurred, and the surrounding maids were all shocked and exclaimed. Useless old man. Xiaoqing's reaction was extremely fast, her body arched like a mother leopard poised for action. In an instant, he was about to pounce and catch Fong Chanyue. With her skills, this is not a difficult task. Mrs. Li's soul was filled with terror. This baby, what a terrifying gaze. It seems like if I make any further moves, she will kill me directly. Oh my goodness, isn't this just a demon born? Thinking in my heart, I quickly went to pick it up as I reached down with both hands. If this falls on the little princess, at least my whole family will definitely die. Just as everyone was exclaiming in amazement, the rescuers were rescuing. Qin Qingcheng, who is a mother, has no worries at all. On the contrary, his face was filled with an incredulous expression. She had a keen sense of consciousness, and at this moment, she discovered a phenomenon that shocked her extremely. My own daughter, at the moment when Grandma Li let go. The body just shook slightly, and then suspended in the air. It seems like an invisible force is lifting her up in the air. What impressed her even more was 9 faint and almost invisible air currents, like immortal chi, and also like the fairy belt of the flying goddess, surrounding the body of the Fangshan moon. She is like an exiled fairy who has fallen into the mortal world. This scene is simply amazing. Is this a congenital special constitution? My daughter, surprisingly. So amazing. This surprise and shock came too suddenly. Like a dream, she could hardly believe it. In front of the bed, Xiaoqing has firmly embraced Fang Changyue in her arms. Similarly, she also discovered the faint fairy aura surrounding her. My whole body was trembling in shock. I shuddered as I spoke. After running 2 steps, he arrived at Qin Qingqing's bed. The small body of Fang Changyue was presented to her like a treasure. Mother. Mother. It's amazing. The little princess. She. Having a vision, it's an immortal fetus. Her voice was trembling, but her words were clear. Everyone in the room showed a look of envy and admiration. Since ancient times, the Qinyan continent has awakened fetuses with innate constitution, known as immortal fetuses. Especially those ordinary people without cultivation. It is even believed that they were reincarnated into the human world as immortals, saints, and gods from ancient times. At this point, with a loud cry, he knelt down in a large area. Congratulations, madam. Congratulations, madam. Everyone cheered in unison. Qin Qingqing nodded slightly, but the happy expression on his face could not be concealed. In the world, there is another parent who does not want their child to have extraordinary talent, surpass their peers, and achieve great success. To bring glory to them. Fang Changyue looked at the shocked crowd and pursed her lips. Disdainful. Ordinary people are ordinary people, so easily suppressed by our own master. It's not worth mentioning. I just don't know how amazing it would be for me to be born into a supernatural being. She ignored the crowd in the delivery room. Instead, my gaze turned to the sky outside the window. As far as she knows, anyone with a congenital constitution will have a vision at birth. Those with lower rankings and weaker innate physical abilities can generally only affect a family with 1 bedroom. For example, the house is filled with fragrance, or the wooden beams and pillars in the house produce Ganoderma lucidum and fairy grass. And if it could trigger a celestial phenomenon, that kind of phenomenon could be seen all over the city. It means that this innate constitution is extremely strong. Almost able to sweep across the same generation. In legend, there is even the supreme terrifying physique that can influence a realm and even reflect the heavens. In Fang Changyue's heart, there was a little excitement. In ancient books, there are only scattered records of one's own divine body. It's just that it's comparable to congenital double pupils. However, the birth anomaly was not mentioned. I heard that when Yi Xian was born, a pair of giant eyes appeared in the sky, spanning 8,000 miles. Like God, they scanned the void. All things are silent, no one dares to look at them. I will never be weaker than him. Her gaze is as firm as iron. At this moment, it was already early morning outside. There are no clouds for thousands of miles, and the red sun sprays thin. Golden light falls on the earth. The crowd in the room also calmed down from the frenzy just now. After all, Qin Qingqing still has a son to give birth to. We cannot tolerate any negligence. But at this moment, I don't know who suddenly said it. Ha! What sound? It sounds really nice. Everyone listened attentively. Just hear it. Waves of ethereal music seem to fall from the 9 heavens. Transmitted to the ear. This sound seems to strike directly at the soul. No instrument in the world can play it. Qin Qingqing was more and more amazed as he listened. She could feel her tired body under the baptism of fairy music. Surprisingly, it has become much easier, even reducing the pain a bit. Like washing a clear spring. This fairy music. Is it a lunar anomaly? When the son of the fourth prince was born, there was a vision of a blood beam descending from the sky, visible from dozens of miles away. Yuan's vision, although her voice was faint and somewhat peaceful, was also good. She looked at Feng Changyue. Her own child, with innate constitution, has already been laughing. There is no higher extravagance. What she doesn't know is. At this point, the outside world is almost boiling. De Yonggugua, outside the Tai Chi Hall of the Imperial City. The ruler Feng Hengdao, dressed in a red-gold dragon robe, stood with his hands down. Behind him, more than 10 princes, kings from all directions, and civil and military officials, hundreds of people gathered together. The atmosphere is tense and oppressive. However, looking at the loose queue, it was obvious that they had just come out of the hall in a hurry. Holy Master, bring the message of the Spirit Stone to report. This immortal music vision is not only heard in our capital, but also by the people of the border areas in all directions. It spans a distance of 7,000 to 8,000 miles. I believe that this is auspicious, and I believe it must be a saint descending from heaven to our court. Behind him, hearing the sound of the Grand Tutor like a thunderous bell, he spoke up. Feng Hengdao's body trembled slightly, nodded, and looked at the sky without speaking. The fourth prince beside him was surprised in his heart. What? Do you think the entire people of Daong dynasty heard this commotion? How could this be possible? Chapter 9. Golden Clouds for Thousands of Miles, 5-Claw Golden Dragon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the tone, there is a hint of doubt. When Taisher is such a human spirit, I don't know what he is thinking in his heart. The fairy music spreads to the 9 provinces, and such a vision far surpasses the appearance of the birth of the fourth prince's son. If there were really newborns who could trigger this celestial phenomenon, its future would be unimaginable. He ignored the fourth prince and instead bowed to Feng Hengdao, the lord of the great eternal kingdom. Holy One, such a vision cannot be ignored. It's very similar to the Tianyin divine body among 365 innate constitutions. My suggestion is to order all states and prefectures to thoroughly investigate the babies born today. However, if there are any supernatural beings, they must be reported to the court. He sounded like a bell, and all the officials nodded to themselves upon hearing it. Feng Hengdao nodded. This method is very good. In the future, anyone born in the middle of the country with innate supernatural powers will be supported by the imperial court for all their food, clothing, and spiritual needs. Parents may confer official positions in the nearest state capital. By the way, the Crown Princess Chongtian said she also gave birth today. Let's go and have a look with me. Say it. He swung his robe sleeves and his body moved, transforming into an airflow that flew towards the Crown Prince's mansion. The princes of the 4 directions, and the Grand Tutor and other officials of the humorous exchanged glances. Many thoughts suddenly arose in my heart. Is it possible that this anomaly was caused by the baby of the Crown Prince's family? Recently, the Emperor became close to the fourth prince and even conferred the title of Duke of Chen on his son. A baby born 2 months ago was granted the title of Duke, which has not happened since the founding of the country. This time, the Holy Emperor personally went to the Crown Prince's mansion to welcome the newborn. Although it gave the Crown Prince face, it was also equivalent to setting the Crown Prince on fire. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. If one does not see the appearance of innate constitution, the Holy One will lose face, and the Crown Prince's position may not be guaranteed immediately. Chaozhong, I'm afraid the sky will change. Everyone had different thoughts, but their faces remained unchanged. Only the fourth prince had a face full of ups and downs. The heavenly sound divine body, although not known for its combat-oriented physique. But in many innate constitutions, the ranking is more than 20 places higher than his son's blood spear warrior. If that's the case, there may be an unexpected situation in the position of Crown Prince that one is about to take over. But at this point, it is also not possible to think much. Everyone turned into a rainbow and flew towards the Crown Prince's mansion together. Brush and brush. Standing in the courtyard outside the delivery room, Fong Chongtian and Fong Lietian are marveling at the magic of this fairy music. Suddenly, more than 20 rainbow lights appeared in the courtyard. When they saw the leader, their faces immediately became solemn. Bow and salute. I have seen my father. Fong Lietian looked at the people behind his father, feeling quite surprised. I don't know why we have to create such a big battle. When my wife gave birth to a child, it wasn't like this. In Fong Chongtian's heart, it was like a clear mirror. I silently sighed in my heart. Fong Hengdao waved his hand casually. Don't be too polite. Continuing. My gaze fell on the door of the delivery room. In their capacity, it is naturally impossible to use their divine powers to scan the situation in the delivery room. So Fong Hengdao spoke up and asked. The Crown Princess gave birth smoothly. The implied meaning is obviously asking whether there is a birth or not. Returning to my father, I just gave birth to a granddaughter. There is still a grandson who has not yet been born. As soon as you speak. Everyone present was shocked in their hearts. Is this too coincidental? When your daughter was born, a celestial anomaly appeared. Especially the fourth prince, his face twitched. Fong Hengdao, whose face had always been very dark, showed a faint smile on his face. Okay, great. Then you and I will wait here for the birth of the emperor's grandson. Speaking. He didn't sit either, just stood with his hands down and his back facing the delivery room. This deck is not as large as usual. The princes, Humoral ministers, and several princes who had no hope of competing for the throne all looked enviously at Fong Chongtian. Only the fourth prince and the eighth prince, who had never spoken, looked at the delivery room with a cold, venomous gaze. Less than a cup of tea has passed. Everyone felt a light in their minds, and the fairy music that filled the air suddenly came to an end. At this moment. I don't know who said something. Look up at the sky. Fong Chongtian looked up. Shocked discovery. The originally cloudless sky. I don't know when, 10,000 golden clouds appeared. Each one was the size of an acre, and 10,000 golden clouds appeared together, almost covering the sky. The rising sun shines on this boundless golden cloud, emitting an infinite and brilliant glow. Almost dyed the entire land golden. In the imperial city. Countless people have long been attracted by these visions and have all run to the streets. Raise your head and try to open your eyes to look. Each one was adorned with golden radiance and transformed into little golden figures. Even more, many people kneel on the ground and worship the sky. Continuously kowtow. In the Crown Prince's mansion. On Fong Hengdao's face, there was no longer the calm and gentle expression he had before. Golden clouds cover the top. What kind of anomaly is this? Why doesn't it appear in the image of 365 innate constitutions recorded in ancient books? Isn't a celestial body still considered complete? He murmured to himself. Amidst the loss of consciousness among the crowd, the mutation is reborn. Ong. 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 10,000 golden clouds unexpectedly gathered together. During the tumultuous changes, 9 5-clawed golden dragons over 100 zhang long converged. With all the scales and whiskers, they spread their teeth and danced their claws, circling around in the air. 9 clear dragon chants echoed throughout the entire imperial city. Dragon. It's a real dragon. Come and worship the dragon. Dragon, even in the realm of cultivation, belongs to the legendary ancient creatures and represents auspiciousness. The people in the city who watched the excitement all knelt down when they saw this scene. Start worshipping and making wishes. May the true dragon bless me with a son. Blessed by the true dragon, I can regain my strength. Blessed by the true dragon, let me be the emperor. A series of mutations made everyone in the courtyard feel a bit numb. Where are we still concerned about status? Almost everyone's mouth is slightly open. Looking up, it's almost broken. And at this moment, the only person who doesn't feel the shock. It is the initiator, Feng Changyue. She lay calmly in Xiaoqing's arms, looking at the 9 golden dragons coiled in the sky, with a hint of anticipation in her eyes. Chapter 10. Changes in the Heavenly Way, demonstrating murder on the Canglan River. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In ancient historical records, the heavenly and celestial phenomena of the creation immortal body contain the 9 paths of the creation immortal spirit chi that captures the creation of heaven and earth. I don't know if I have that great opportunity to absorb it. She blinked her big eyes, eagerly looking at the 9 golden dragons in the sky. The creation of immortal spiritual energy is something that appeared at the beginning of chaos. Extremely precious. It can nourish and strengthen divine souls, laying the foundation for saints. Even for saints, it is a good thing. If they see it, they will all break their heads and compete. However, although these 9 paths of creation and immortal spiritual energy were born to those with innate constitutions, but the vast majority will dissipate and return to the world after a moment. Only a very small portion will descend and integrate into Feng Chanyue's body. Have more, it's best to have a whole layer of divine spirit energy. She rubbed her small hands and her face lit up. Compared to the expectations of Feng Chanyue and the shock of the people of the Yonggu Kingdom, this anomaly also shook the entire southern region. Many sleeping antiques have opened their eyes, looking in disbelief at the direction of the Yonggu Kingdom. The heavenly sound divine body is not uncommon, but what kind of anomaly is this 9 dragons coiling around? Isn't it that the ancient dragon race's legacy has emerged? In a cave thousands of miles away from the great eternal kingdom, an old man with white eyebrows drooping on the ground sat cross-legged on a futon. In front of him, the void unexpectedly opened a big hole. At that entrance, a clear display of the scene above Daonkeo was displayed. Like observing patterns on the palm. You should know that only those who have reached the 34 transformations of the heavenly realm, the realm of the infinity of heaven and earth, can tear apart the void with their physical bodies. Find the coordinate point, jump fiercely, and reach the destination in the blink of an eye. The horizon is within reach, and the pot sky shrinks to the ground. And to achieve the same level as him, where the void is like a mirror, reflecting all things, it is simply not something that this realm can achieve. Such supernatural powers can be described as terrifying. By his side, a 4 or 5-year-old girl bounced out. She was wearing a fiery red belly bag, barefoot, with 2 towering buns tied to her head. Not tall, but holding a fiery red tassel spear in his hand. Wearing a red silk ribbon around her waist, she is very cute. Brush. She danced a firecracker, with lotus flowers blooming in the air. After listening to the old man's words, he pursed his lips. Tianin Shenti, singing is just beautiful. What kind of dragon is it? It falls into my hands and I have to give it a cramp and peel off its skin. Master, when can I go down the mountain? I'm tired of staying in this cave every day. She is very proud and delicate, and her tone is even more fearless. But when facing his master, he immediately turned into a coquettish appearance. The old man was not in a hurry, but reached out to touch her little brain. Don't worry, you're not yet at the heat of your cultivation. It's not good to compete with those big schools of education in Zhongzhou. Wait until 2.5 years later, when your 3-headed and 6-armed divine abilities are fully developed, and then come down the mountain without delay. Speaking, he didn't even look at the unhappy little girl. My gaze once again fell on the reflection of the void. A trace of solemnity climbed up to the tip of the eyebrows. People with special constitutions were originally extremely difficult to conceive, but starting this year, they have appeared one after another. It seems that the weather is going to change. Southern region, Canglan River. This big river has a turbulent water flow, and I don't know how much it is. Winding and flowing in the southern region, waterways traverse the four countries. It is the mother river of the four countries. Although the four countries in the southern region share the same momentum, there are constant swords and weapons throughout the year. But no country dares to tamper with this water vein. One thing is that they are afraid of provoking public anger. Secondly, it is said that there is a dragon palace deep in the Canglan River. There is an old fish dragon inside, with a trace of the blood of an ancient true dragon, and its magical power is profound. At this moment, 3 tall figures wearing imperial robes stood above them with tripods. But if you look closely, you can see that strands of sunlight pass through their bodies without any hindrance. Scattered on the ground, without a trace. This is the divine power that can only be exerted when the heavenly realm is cultivated to an extremely high level. Yang Shen appears in the world. Yang Shen is invisible and can travel thousands of miles in a blink of an eye, possessing incredible supernatural powers. These 3 people are the current rulers of Daxin Ancient Kingdom, Daming Ancient Kingdom, and Daxian Ancient Kingdom. The 3 people, who were supposed to be in a state of swords and crossbows, are now gathered together. It is obvious that they came for the sake of the Great Eternal Kingdom. How could the Great Eternal Kingdom be so lucky that within 2 months, 2 fetuses awakened from their innate constitution were born one after another? Breaking the balance between our 4 countries. The more innate constitution there is, the better. My grandson's De Luo sword body is unparalleled in killing and attacking, isn't it an ordinary innate constitution that can match? My granddaughter's celestial body, mastering extreme speed, ranks among the top 100 in the 365 innate constitution chart, and is not weaker than humans. If you're not convinced, let's have a competition. Life and death are determined by heaven. I'm afraid you won't succeed. The more they talked, the fiercer they became, and as they boasted about each other, they became brave and fierce. The Lord of Daxin Kingdom could only wave his hand, and the powerful magic wave directly shook the young god bodies of the other 2 people. It is obvious that his cultivation is superior to the 2 of them. Seeing him angry, these 2 lords also knew that it was not time to argue. So they borrowed the donkey and glared at each other. Then he spoke up. Lord de Xian, what should you say? De Xian Guizhu's gaze flickered. Our 4 southern regions, from ancient times to the present, have been able to compete with each other and divide the southern region into 4 parts. It all depends on the word balance. Now, the Yonggu Kingdom has unintentionally disrupted this balance. Imagine if in 100 years, both of these individuals with innate constitution would have grown up. Which of our 3 countries, alone, is their opponent? If you don't want this situation to happen, the only way is. He stopped talking. Seeing him seems to have some concerns. Just now, the 2 lords who were still at odds spoke up at the same time. There is no one here, but it's okay to say so. The ominous light of the Lord of Daxin country shines brightly. Kill. Kill who? Kill the person who caused the illusion. Tomorrow morning, we'll know who she really is. Can't let her live until the candlelight development ceremony in 10 days' time. The words drifted in the air, and the figures of the 3 gradually faded away. After a long time. At the foot of the 3, on the Canglan River, suddenly the waves surged and thick fog filled the air. Immediately after, a pair of blood-red lantern-like giant eyes appeared in the thick fog. The gaze is exactly the direction of the Great Eternal Kingdom. It's interesting that the divine body was not born in the immortal realm, but rather in the lower realm. Changes in external factors. In the delivery room, Qin Qingqing gritted his silver teeth tightly. Give a sudden force again. Suddenly, an unprecedented ease swept over my body. The burden accumulated over the past 10 months has finally been relieved. Born. accompanied by a burst of baby giggles and Mrs. Li's hoarse sound of good news. Fong Chencha's plump and white body met the golden glow outside the window. Picked up by Grandma Li, she creaked and raised it.